Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And today we're going to be doing the pre-match presser review. We're going to be analyzing basically what Rúben Amorim said. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into the pre-match talk that actually sets the stage for Manchester United's return to Premier League action against Everton this Monday. After the international break, there was a lot to unpack. And manager Rúben Amorim delivered a press conference that was part injury report and part philosophical reflection, as well as part of it was a chess match strategy. It's been a 5-game unbeaten run in this league, basically back-to-back draws against Forest and Spurs. This means that the pressure gauge is still flickering a little bit if you think about it that way. But that's why every word from Amorim's press conference today felt like a clue about the plans to turn draws into wins. I mean, we're going to be breaking down his words into a 50-50 split, kind of like a conversational read, conversational talk and analysis, followed by granular analytical, look at exactly what he means. Now, the headline coming out the headline coming out from this press conference was all about Benjamin Sesko and his injury, the AFCON player status, and the potential return of the butcher of Manchester, Lisandro Martinez. But also, we will see the real story that lies in the subtext, particularly when, he talks about the team evolution over the last year. So we're going to start with one thing that has always dominated the chats, basically, the medical room. And it's the first place that journalists actually go when they want to ask questions about Amorim and all of that. And he had some critical updates on 3 key players: Benjamin Sesko, Harry Maguire, and Kobbie Mainoo. So the first aspect of this press conference is the injury report, basically. In the manager's words, Amorim addressed the status of the injured players, giving a staggered timeline of their return. Basically, his quote is he's going to stay out for a few weeks, and that is with regards to Benjamin Sesko. He says, I don't know how long, but it's not that serious. We have to be careful with him. He's going to recover and is feeling better. So in a few weeks, I expect to have Ben, which is Sesko, back. Maguire is not ready. Kobbie didn't train today, but we could also see him tomorrow, that is Saturday, so we'll see. Now, to break it down, basically, the quote is a masterclass in transparency mixed with some calculated ambiguity, basically just trying to be ambiguous a little bit in his response and his analysis. The phrase, he's going to stay out for a few weeks, I mean, I don't know how long, but it is not that serious. Regarding Sesko performs 2 functions. First, he manages the media hype by confirming the injury without providing a precise date, preventing daily speculation, and second, also calling it not that serious, lowers the temperature, indicating that it is not a season-ending injury, allowing the focus to shift back to the available players, because they keep asking anyway. They're supposed to ask, so we can always talk about it. The loss of a £74 million striker, even one still finding his feet, is significant. It's a significant blow, and Amorim uses this language to kind of cushion the impact. Now, to update us on the Harry Maguire issue, or the Harry Maguire injury, it is actually stuck. He just said Maguire is not ready. This is definitive and actually leaves no room for debate. It signals that despite the international break, the hamstring injury is still limiting him, meaning a forced defensive change is inevitable for the Everton game. Obviously, we already know what the back three is going to be like, seeing as Rúben Amorim has said Harry Maguire is not ready. Finally, the status of Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo didn't train today. I watched the video, the 19-20 minute long video of the training, and I didn't see Mainoo at any point. I haven't watched kind of like the analysis. He says, but we could see him tomorrow, so we'll see. The contrast here is crucial. Sesko is a few weeks. Maguire is not ready, but Mainoo is hopeful. I mean, he was dropped because he had a knock for the Spurs game, so we could see him tomorrow. This suggests that Mainoo's knock is at the least serious, making his potential return a genuine but not guaranteed boost to the midfield depth. Amorim is keeping Moyes guessing right up to the last minute, which is also good, because the truth is you don't just put out all your cards and then you give them the opportunity to actually plan for you, because if you say that, then obviously you've given them the opportunity to know what to expect and how to play you and stuff, and that is very smart way to approach the press conference from Rúben Amorim. And then we're going to talk about the next part of the segment, which is basically with the impact of the AFCON and negotiations with the FAs and all of that. Not the FAs, the football associations, the football associations of the different countries that are involved in this one. And the conversation actually moved to the African Cup of Nations, set to start in December, basically precisely December 21st. And the rule is that they had to be let go 2 weeks before. And United could potentially lose key players like Mazraoui, Amad Diallo, and Mbeumo. It's no new news that this is what's going to happen. And this is where Rúben Amorim revealed the club's proactive strategy. First, we're going to talk about, he was asked about the AFCON release dates, and Amorim confirmed that the club is working behind the scenes. Amorim's quote says that we have the rules, and when we have to release the players, so we will see. We are doing our job to try to maintain the players a little bit longer, but it is not just in our hands. We need to respect that. We will try to do everything to protect the club, protect the players, and protect the national team. I think it is 2 weeks before the start, so we will try to arrange something with the federations, but we need to respect their rules in this case. So basically Amorim just kind of defending the need for these players and how important they are. This response is actually politically astute, and it's a politically astute statement that actually balances club interests with international obligations. The key phrase here basically we're going to be analyzing is that we are doing our job to try to maintain the players a little bit longer. Now, this is a direct message to the fans and the board and the club, which is that the club is actually negotiating, and that they are losing. They know they are losing 3 players during the busy festive schedule, and it is a blow. And as one journalist put it, and they are not accepting the standard deadline, which Amorim clarified is 2 weeks before the start without a fight. So basically, they're going to negotiate with the clubs to try to find a common ground for these players to actually just basically be able to represent their national team as well as play for Manchester United. Now, his repetitive use of "we need to respect that and it is not just in our hands" is a smart defensive mechanism. As I said at the top, it shows deference to the national federations, preventing deference to national federations, preventing any soaring relations. He's publicly adopting a respectful stance, even while privately pushing for an extension. And the final line here, promising to protect the club, protect the players, and protect the national team, is a sign of commitment to a holistic management approach. He wants the players to be available for United, but also understands the importance of the tournament for the players and their countries. Which takes us to the next aspect of this press conference, the Lisandro Martinez return, his role, and the future as well. A fan favorite topic that everybody wants to know about, and he is one with the potential tactical implications, and was the status of Lisandro Martinez. After a long-term injury, he's nearing a return, obviously, as we know, leading to speculations that given the midfield injuries to Kobbie and Mainoo, he might be drafted into a holding role. That was the question, and I was like, I know most content creators have said this, and I pretty much enjoy an analysis made by a big content creator that I follow, and I enjoy some of his takes on some things, not all, basically. Steven Hausen, Mr. Steven Hausen, you see him on YouTube, and he talked about how Lisandro Martinez cannot actually play a defensive midfield role, and I completely agree. And many people will say, oh, he can play it, he's played it at Ajax and all that. He gave a proper breakdown. You don't need me to come and do it for you. I think I've done it maybe once or twice, but he gave a proper breakdown on how Lisandro Martinez cannot or should not be able to be drafted into defensive midfield because it requires a different pace, a different speed, a different ability to cover the grass, every blade of grass, especially when it comes to defensive screening. But when you put Lisandro Martinez in that defensive midfield, this is me just giving my own personal analysis, you see a situation where we are dropping a little bit deeper, even in as much as he's going to try to press up front, but it looks like he's going to be off the pace, and basically everybody's going to give hound Rúben Amorim. So he provided a firm but respectful boundary around Martinez's primary function. The phrasing, Licha. So this is what Amorim says. I feel Licha is coming close to being able to play. We need to be careful. He's clearly in a better position. I think a smart, intelligent football player can play in a lot of positions, but it is not the position for him. In an emergency, he can play. So basically saying that in an emergency, when we actually need bodies, then Licha can play. But then, that is not what Rúben Amorim is going to try and do. Licha is already a ball-playing centre-back from the left side. So the most important question we should be asking, which they asked during the training video, is that can Rúben Amorim, basically, can Licha come back? And if Licha comes back, does he fit straight into the first team? And if he does, is he capable of pushing out Luke Shaw? And if he does push out Luke Shaw, where does he put where does Luke Shaw go to? Left wing back? There is a potential for left wing back. So we'll talk about that as well in this analysis. We're just going to break it down. And here's what here Amorim actually provides a firm but respectful boundary around Martinez's primary function. The phrasing Licha is coming close to being able to play and we need to be careful actually confirms a cautious approach. I mean, it's a clear message that Martinez's history of injuries, including the crucial ligament issue, I mean, if you come back from an ACL, it's very hard to come back to full playing motion and all that. You have to go through rigorous training regimes and gym regimes and stuff like that. It means that he'll be eased back. It's not like it's going to be boom, going straight in, right? They'll prioritize his long-term health over, an immediate fix. Obviously, they're going to use data, as we've always known and found that the Man United don't just allow players to play anyhow. It's just going to be a lot of data-centered analysis for players to play. And when addressing the midfield idea, the compliment was genuine. A smart, intelligent football player can play in a lot of positions, and this validates Martinez's football IQ. But you also have to think about the fact that Rúben Amorim's type of players, or type of players that Rúben Amorim will like, to talk about or will like to analyze or break down or anything whatsoever. These are the kind of players that Amorim would like to draft into his squad, and if Amorim is wanting to draft these kinds of players in his squad, he would want players that can basically be versatile and kind of utility players that can play everywhere around the field. Think about Ahmad playing right wing back, right midfield, attack number 10. You think about Mbeumo can play as a striker, false 9, right wing back, and number 10. You think about Cunha can play as a striker, false 9, left 10, as well as drop into mid. You have Mason Mount who can play as a false 9, number 10, and midfield. You think about the Lake too can play as a right centre back and a centre back, and also press high as well. Think about Euro can play centre back, right centre back as well. Think about Harry Maguire can play as a centre back and can play as a pseudo forward, kind of the player that can sit in that place and in the centre forward, and then they cross the ball and he just heads it in or shoots it in. He knows how to cross and he knows how to shoot. So these are the things. Rúben Amorim is looking for players that are very versatile. You think about Bruno can play anywhere across the midfield. Think about Casemiro can play as a defensive midfield, deep line playing number 6, but also he's the transition player, even though he's older now and can't run as much, as fast, not as much, can't run as fast. So it basically validates, Rúben Amorim basically validates Lisandro Martinez's IQ. However, the line, but it is not the position for him, is definitive. Amorim is signaling basically to the squad, the opposition, and the player himself that Martinez's role remains the centre back. as I said just now. This maintains that his defensive structure maintains his defensive structure and prevents, distracting speculation. The compromise here is that in an emergency he can play is merely just common sense, just saying common sense. And like I said, just as Stephen Housen has said and analyzed, every versatile player is an emergency option, right? He has analyzed that obviously Martinez is not suited for a center defensive midfield. He's more of a ball playing center back and all of that. He's played in the back two, playing the back three as well. So, but it is not the plan basically for Amorim. That's all I can say. And the next segment of this is the 1 year reflection and expectations, basically with what had happened with Rúben Amorim in the last year. Journalists asked Rúben Amorim to reflect on his 1 year anniversary in charge of Manchester United, leading to a candid assessment of the team's evolution. In the manager's words, the Amorim's reflection in his first year centered on control, dominance, and competitiveness. Amorim's quotes stated that, this is what Amorim stated, the first thinking was, the environment is completely different. I was excited with that. We have to take that into account and play every game like the last one or the first one. Of course, I expect a team with more control, more dominance, playing better football, and the most important thing, more competitive in every way. That's basically analyzing what he expects as regards to the future. To break it down, basically in his words, this is Amorim defining success by metrics, basically beyond just results. The initial thought, the first thinking was the environment is actually completely different, and it reveals the scale of the challenge he inherited. The Premier League and Manchester United are a different beast than his previous role as Sporting, and it also suggests that he was initially overwhelmed, but also the phrase "I was excited with that" shows a manager who thrives on immense pressure. And obviously, the media and how they are. When they want to give you immense pressure, you can expect even more, 10 times more. The core of his reflection is in the vision of his team style. More control, more dominance, and playing better football, right? This actually confirms his commitment to an attractive front foot style of play, and he's not settling for pragmatic reactive football. So the final key phrase in Amorim's words is more competitive in every way, right? This goes beyond just being dominant in possession. It speaks to the non-negotiable, the attitude, the intensity, the fight for 90 minutes, which we have seen in the last 5 games, where we better not lose, right? We better not lose. Instead, if we can't win, then we can't lose. That is Rúben Amorim's thoughts. If we can't win, then we can't lose, right? So that is what Rúben Amorim is talking about, like the non-negotiable when it comes to attitude, when it comes to intensity, and when it comes to the fight for 90 minutes. I mean, it's a subtle reference to the need for consistency, but which is a recurring problem that he's mentioned, ensuring that the team runs like mad dogs, which he said at the first press conference he gave, to quote a previous, to quote what he said, like the first press conference when he talks about the team needs to run like mad dogs. He's holding the players accountable to a higher standard of relentless competitiveness in every phase of the game. Now, just to wrap up this whole presser review and all of that, this is, I think, one of the most detailed presser review that I basically have to analyze every line that I've done, because I was looking forward to what Rúben Amorim has to offer, especially when it comes to the next game against Everton, considering how he's had a lot of time to plan through the international break. There you have it, basically, with the manager managing injuries with caution, players with diplomacy, and expectations with both ambition and pragmatism. The injury news is a tricky one. The AFCON headache is being, actively managed, and the commitment to an attacking, dominant style is unwavering, basically. The most important takeaway from this press conference, which we have to talk about every time, is that though he is pragmatic and all of that, and he has ambition, he is relentlessly focusing on the next game. As often as he says, in football, especially at a big club, you cannot control the next day. All he can control basically is the preparation for Everton on Monday, and that's pretty much straightforward and very truthful and open that Amorim can be. So what do you guys think about what Amorim has said in the press conference? What do you guys look forward to in the Everton game? You will see a couple more videos after this with regards to talking about what Amorim had to say and all of that. We'll also go live hopefully later today, you know, to just kind of break down some of the Manchester United news and everything. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we have broken down all that Amorim had to say ahead of Everton. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Let's, break it down and have conversations. If you haven't already, if you're joining us for the first time, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.